and Steve, just going to have a little chat.
Steve?
Firstly, just on behalf of Steve and I, I'd just like to thank you for your time this morning. We learned a lot, and really good to see young guys aspiring to be better. The best football session I've seen by a mile was Bayern Munich with Pep. And the thing that stood out to me was the intent of the players. Well, these are some of the best players in the world. Who is it? Rodba, Reeby, Muller, those guys, won World Cups. The way they trained, everything meant, every ball they contested, 100%. So they started off with they trained for about 60 minutes. They did a warm-up drill, and then they played, rondo, and every ball counted. Every ball counted. Every possession counted. They weren't just warming up, they were playing to win. Then they played a 7-on-7 game, and again, the way they worked off the ball, the energy, the communication, they were always talking to each other. Yeah, you find the big difference between players. It's not how big you are, it's not how fast you are, it's not who your mother and father is. It's your attitude and how much you want it. And you see that at training. Like you see the guys here today, I could pick out 2 or 3 guys that are going to make it because they were talking all the time, they were helping themselves get better, but they were also helping other players get better. Every time you come to training, you've got to think about how can I get better, how can I help my team get better. And if you have that approach, you'll have a good career. How good you are, you never know how good you're going to be. But what you want to do is give yourself the chance to be the best you can be. So it was good to see today. I reckon all of you can work harder, definitely at training, don't you reckon? Yeah. And talk to each other more. A lot of stuff, our set-up drills, where you got to anticipate, what's next. So what's next is about communicating, isn't it? But really good guys. So thanks again for your time. Steve, anything you'd like to add to that?
And my thanks very much for letting us come and learn from you guys and what you were doing today. I'd back up what Eddie said. It'll be a year's time or 2 years' time or 3 years' time. What you want to do is look back and make sure that you, in your young career, are you giving everything. There's no what ifs. What if I'd worked a bit harder? What if I'd listened a bit more? What if I tried to learn a bit more? What if I'd gone home and done a bit more stuff in the backyard? You can never have that. You've got to make sure that whatever you do now in your careers is maximising, give you the best chance of getting where you want to be. And then you always look back, you've been honest with yourself, you've been honest with your teammates. But thanks very much.
Last thing, guys, we got a guy called Owen Farrell, you know him?
Yeah.
Kicks at 85%, so he's probably the best goal kicker in the world. Why? End of every session, he spends at least 30 minutes goal kicking. His day off, what does he do? He doesn't have a day off. No such thing, he practices goal kicking. He gets Johnny Wilkinson to come in and kicks with him. And if you want to make it, that's what you've got to do. You've got to work out where you can have a competitive edge and then train it by yourself. The coaches only give you a framework to work. And then you've got to find a way to be the best you can be. Because you've all got a great opportunity, haven't you? Like you play football because you love it. And then now you've got an opportunity to actually make a living out of it, which is even better. So don't miss the opportunity, boys. All right, good luck with it, hey?
Thank you.
I did an interview with Xavi about 3 years ago, and he's a little guy like this, and he was nearly released by Barcelona because of his size, and what he was saying was that he sussed out to stay a professional and to play, to continue playing, that he would find space and decide once he found space what he was going to do. In other words, he didn't receive the ball and decide. And I thought, that makes sense, a little guy, not with great, not protecting himself because he's frightened, but protecting him, it's space, and then once he was in space, he knew what he was going to do. He said, I always knew, I sussed out 3 or 4, so this whole thing about this, the Xavi 5 looks, and then again, it's mental focus, right? Okay, so it's a little confusing now, but I want your mental focus to try to get this drill, which is quick combinations. Ready? Play. Block in. Good. Here. Come on. Block him. Good. Go, go, go. Go, go, go. Block him. Go. Block him. Block him. block him. Okay, and doing very good. That's it, go on. Come on. Turn up. Come tight as you. Well done.
That's one. You got it. Yes, son, good.
Please, straight up.
You now go to Good. Who's got now? You see. Good.
Shoot. Turn. Go chance. Go.
Yes.
You should have a ball, big guy. Go.
Yes, go on.
Finish. You've got finish. Go. Walk. Go. Don't watch your play.
No, you need a ball on the outside. You need a ball.
Off you go. Yeah. Finish.
I'm delighted to say we're down here this morning with Eddie Jones, England coach, Alf Galustian, and Steve Borthwick as well. Alf, how do we come to be down here this morning?
I've got a connection with Wimbledon. I started here as a young player, and that was 50 plus years ago. I won't tell you how many. And it's when I'm in England, I've worked all over the world. I try to come and help here. And Eddie's my dear friend, and I met Steve and Eddie when they were with Japan, and I've had a long association with Japan. And with two things, I thought Eddie could selfishly help my education, because I'm always trying to learn. And then we talked about trying to see if there was, 35 years ago, I was co-founder of a method called Coerver coaching. It's a method of teaching, and Eddie was kind enough to think it was decent. And so in Japan, we talked about one day when maybe we're a little older, to try to convert some of this football philosophy and drills and games into rugby development. I focus on 8 to 15 years old. I think that's the golden ages. And I asked Eddie and Steve if they'd kindly come and we could talk about these drills and games. So that's what we've been doing this morning. I'm kind of on the theme of a transition or fast break attack that's counter-attacking. But because I'm an attacking coach, of course, my focus is on that. But I also realise that you've got to win it before you attack. So Eddie, myself, and Steve are going to talk about what we did this morning, and I'm going to get their advice, and hopefully we can take it from there. Definitely. Is that a fair representation?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, Alf's a master coach. His ability to develop fundamental skill and then put it in a game context is I haven't met anyone like him. So it's a great opportunity for Steve and I to learn from him, and just seeing the practices today. We've already got 2 or 3 good ideas we're going to take back to England. So it's been a great morning for us, and we're really appreciative of the Wimbledon club lending their players, and the boys were fantastic today.
Eddie, it's great to see you down here, of course, but I mean, you've travelled the world, you've been to other sort of clubs as well. You're really impressed with the environment that you've got here, yeah?
Yeah, well, I think, you're a club that's aspiring to be better. You've got good young kids here, great young coaches, all willing to learn. They want to learn from Alf, want to learn how to do things differently. And it's a great environment that you've got.
Steve, in terms of the Wimbledon itself, the football club, how it's been built back up again, is it a story that you followed coming down here as well, and you've seen how this coaching, this environment's been formed, it's come together again now?
Oh, certainly. As a football fan, to see the journey that the club's taken over the last few years, it's great credit to the people that are here. And you see that, you walk in, and the people are passionate about this football club. The players are there, they're keen to learn. They jumped into that session. It's a great opportunity for us to come down here and watch what Alf was doing and learn from Alf.
Eddie, did you find sort of the coaches, the players, very attentive this morning in terms of their attention to detail and what they were willing to take on board?
Great attitude, mate. Really good attitude. I thought the players were first class. they really wanted to work, really wanted to improve, and the coaches were the same. So it's a good environment here, and I think when you're a smaller club and you're aspiring to be better, it's a good attitude to have.
So in terms of rugby and football, in terms of the transition of skills and coaching as well, is it that big a gap between the two?
We're always looking to find space. It's the same principles. We've just got different constraints of how we move the ball into space and also how we defend space. But there were some principles Alf went through this morning which are going to be really important for us going forward.
So you've been to other clubs as well. You've been to like Man City and now Wimbledon. You're taking it from very different environments of football, yeah?
Very different in terms of facilities and structures. But I think, what makes a club is the people, and the people are always the most important thing. And what's been impressive today has been the people of the club.
Steve,
you've also got in Mark Robinson. I mean, I have worked at clubs like Bayern and Manchester City and other clubs. In my opinion, Mark is one of the best academy coaches that I've seen, and that's one of the reasons why I still keep coming. Sorry to interrupt you there, Eddie, but I think this Mark, with the budget that he's working with, when you think about Man City and Bayern Munich with their huge budgets, and I think it's the quality of people, isn't it? Always.
You've got to believe in something, but you don't know all the answers to it. So you've got a way of how you do things, but you've got to keep searching for better ways of doing it.
Eddie, you've trusted in youth, you bring young players through. Is it getting harder with the amount of distractions that are out there these days, or do you find that there's still those winners, you can still see them from the off?
I don't think it's getting harder, it's just different. Players are different today than they were 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Different way of learning, different way of how they view the world. But I still think there's the players out there with the passion and commitment to be better, and we saw that with these young kids today. There's a lot of players out there that really want to be good players, and if they keep at it, work hard, they're going to be great players for the club.
Well, with me, Academy Head of Football Mark Robinson, what a tremendous morning it was down at the training ground with Eddie Jones and Steve Borthwick. How did it come about?
Well, Rob, it come through Alf Galustian, to be honest. So I've known Alf 6, must be coming on 7 years now. He come down and did a session many years ago with me, and thankfully liked what we was doing at the academy, and we've become really good friends. And he always does 2-3 sessions a year with us, which is fantastic because he works all over Europe with the biggest clubs in Europe. And he just contacted me and said he was doing this thing with Eddie and Steve, and looking at how rugby and football can cross over. And Eddie's renowned for being someone who likes to go to different sports and sort of continue his learning, which shows you why he's as good as he is. And he said, would I like him to come down to Wimbledon? So obviously that was a bit of a no-brainer. So so it took a little bit of organising. And he told me that when they were due to come down, so we got our coaches down and everything. And it was absolutely fantastic for me and the boys and all our other coaches, and obviously the academy as a whole.
And a world-renowned coach, and to hear him come down here and be so humble and mixed with coaches and players, and to feel that he's learned from something as well from coming down there.
Yeah, no, it was great, and and that was what was so amazing about it. I'm standing on the line with him, as you said, and he's renowned as one of the world's best coaches, and he's actually asking me things like how I do stuff. So it was fantastic, and he was so interested in what we do and where we've come from and how much success we've had, etc. So obviously the snippets from Alf, which was great, and very humble, great humility, which I think you tend to find with the genuine people who are genuinely great at what they do. And so the whole experience was fantastic, and then he spoke to the boys at the end as well, and gave them sort of messages that we're constantly trying to give them. So to hear from someone like Eddie and Steve, again, was just fantastic.
We've got to talk about Alf Galustian as well, local Wimbledon lad as well as a youngster, and then he's been a successal coach all over the world. He's visited so many clubs, got that attachment with him. Yeah,
he's worked everywhere, Bayern Munich, AC Milan, Inter Milan. He's worked with all the big European clubs and the big players. He's a coach educator first and foremost, so that's what he does. He goes in and educates the coaches, but obviously along with that he's worked with players as well, and he's just brilliant. Alf, every time he comes I pick up something new. There's a certain session we use throughout the academy now, which I picked up from him sort of 5-6 years ago, and it's become sort of a staple diet of what we do. So and again, it's brilliant, and it's a two-way thing. He loves what we do, which is great in itself. That's why he comes down. He wouldn't just come down for the sake of it. So he appreciates what we do. So no, it's fantastic, and it just wouldn't be happening. We're I don't want to say a club like Wimbledon, because obviously we're a very, very special club. But for a club of our size, that kind of thing just doesn't happen. So it's really pleasing.
So all in all, not just the players but the coaches as well of the AFC Wimbledon Academy, you feel you've benefited enormously from this morning's visit?
Yeah, so we invited them all down to come and have a look and look at the sessions and and give feedback and stuff like that. So the session this morning was all about transition, and Eddie and Steve were looking at Alf's drills on transition in football and how they can relate them to rugby. So it was great for the coaches to see that, and I think more than anything it's just great to see for the coaches to see, especially our young coaches, that people like Eddie and Steve never want to stop learning, never wanting to get better, because that's part of my message to all our coaches. You've got to keep learning, you've got to keep stretching yourself, you've got to continue development, and especially the way things are now, sort of modern day environments, everyone wants to run before they can walk and think they know everything, and you've got to continuously open yourselves up to different learning, and that's something I pride myself on. Is I go and work with tennis coaches, I work with lots of different coaches, just trying to gain those bits of knowledge, and if you just pick up one thing from everyone you go to, then it's going to make you a better coach, because no one's got the definitive answer. All you can do is keep trying to find the best ways. If there was only one way, we'd all do it.
I saw you chatting with Steve Borthwick at the end there. Are you hopeful of perhaps paying England a visit and extending that coaching? Yeah, they've invited me down, which is fantastic. So, which again, was really nice. They must have liked what they saw, so they've invited me down. So I'm going to go down there when they're next together at the England camp, and again, I know that I'm going to pick something up. And it's a completely different sport, so it might not be anything to do with tactical, but it might be something on the psychological corner. Anything there will be definitely something I do. It might be their approach to something. It might be the way they engage players, but I know there's going to be things that I'm going to pick up which will be fantastic.